All right. Welcome in to the A to Z Sports Big Orange podcast, back for another week. I am Charlie Burris. That is Zach Reagan. Wherever you listen throughout the world, and I love, let me just say, that's a tribute to John Ward that I have had since the inception of this show. And I love that Mike Keith has brought it back to the beginning of Tennessee football games. It's so beautiful. It is poetic. Oh, it's so great having him back in the fold. But anyway, A to Z Sports, we talk everything Vols every week here on the pod. And if you want to listen to that on the reg, go over to the A to Z Sports Podcast Network feed on Apple or Spotify. When you get there, rate, review, but you got to subscribe. And if you do, you won't miss our show drop on Mondays. It is Monday right now, and that means we are also live on YouTube, A to Z Sports Tennessee Volunteers YouTube channel. Go there, subscribe, notification bell. Specifically hit the notification bell, because if you do, you will be notified when we go live, and you can join in on the fun. It's always great going back and forth with everybody in the comments. Always a great time. We love it. At Zach TNT at A to Z Sports, Facebook.com/A to Z Sports National, A to Z Sports.com for all the stuff that Zach writes. And Zach, the week is here. It is time for Tennessee to beat the Bulldogs. That's what time it is, Zach. What is up, man?
Yeah, it's way past time. It's a different feel, right? We're usually getting ready for maybe Florida right now, right? Like usually they play Florida this week or the next week, sometime in September, and it's flipped this season and get Georgia early in the season. And I wasn't really sure how I felt about that going into this year, but now that we're here, I mean, we're 2 weeks into this season. I kind of like the way this sets up. You good there?
Now I can't. This is what happened with me, dude. We're having so many problems, tech problems. This is what happened with me and Crump the other day. I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything you're saying, and my audio is all the way up.
Oh no! Got anything now?
Try to say something now.
Yeah, you got me.
It's absolutely nothing. Boy, hold on. Let me just go out of the stream super quick. Come right back in. I'll come because I can't vamp with something, Zach. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'll carry on with the Georgia talk here and how I feel about this game being where it's at right now on the schedule. And we got split screens here. I like where this game sets up. If you can see me, hear me, whatever now is going on. Playing Georgia early in this season, I feel like later in the year, this game has so much riding on it that it's tough for Tennessee to approach that game knowing that in some situations it's a must win for them to get into the playoff. You got me now?
There we go. God, this is really annoying me. The audio on my end, apparently everybody's been telling me in the comments the audio stinks. My computer's like overheating. I don't know what's going on. This is really annoying me. That's the second time that weird audio thing's happened now. This is me. Anywho, what? You don't have to say all that again because you definitely said a lot there. It's time to Georgia Bulldogs. What was the gist of it, Zach?
Yeah, basically, I like the way this game sets up in the schedule for Tennessee as opposed to the way it's been. You get Georgia early in the season. It's not late in the year where it's like playoff hopes might be riding on winning this game. You get this one out of the way. If you win, your path's a lot easier. You can play a little more free down the stretch. If you lose it, it's like no big deal. You know, we made the playoff last year when we lost to them. We knew we could afford a loss out of this big three. It puts pressure on you to beat Alabama and Florida, but based on what we've seen so far this season, I mean those games seem pretty winnable. So I like where this game falls now on the schedule, or at least for this season. We don't know where it will be in the future or if they'll play every year in the future.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, and that's the big thing about it is that it finally feels truly winnable for Tennessee. That's going to be the gist of the show. I mean, it's going to be all about the Georgia game. We're going to talk about the ETSU game, obviously, because it happened, and we got to give it its due. But yeah, it's going to be a full preview of the Georgia game here on Big Orange Podcast. If you're stuck with this through the audio snafus, maybe it does sound like garbage. I don't know. I can't hear what it sounds like on the live stream, and apologies if it does. Crompton's Wi-Fi was better on Saturday, and then my audio stunk. We just can't get this stuff right. So that way, let's just power through. Let's do it, Zach. ETSU came into Neyland Stadium on Saturday, and Tennessee just blasted them 72-17. But Zach talked me off the ledge. Tennessee gave up 17 points to ETSU. That means that this defense is complete garbage, and they're going to stink, Zach. This is futile. Why did we even get our hopes up for the Georgia game? But no, seriously, why did they give up 17 points to ETSU, Zach?
Well, I mean, I kind of thought they would give up some points late in that game. With my prediction, I think I had Tennessee winning like 55-14, something like that. You know, one of the touchdowns, there's a botched snap right before the half that Heupel was clearly pissed off about during his halftime interview with ESPN, which you got to love if you're a Tennessee fan, right? Like that's the standard, you know, win every rep and take care of the little details. If you don't take care of them against ETSU, how you going to take care of them against Georgia, Alabama? So he was upset about that. That led to a quick, easy 7 points for them. They got great field position. So that 17 points is a little misleading. I think of it more as like 10 because the offense really gave up those points, not so much the defense. Got down there in the red zone, and ETSU was, you know, able to punch it in there. We'll see on this defense. I think this team's locked in. I think they're motivated. I think they have a next play mentality. I think they have all the things that you want from a championship caliber team as far as the mindset. But it's still tough to perform in some of those games when you know you got these big SEC games looming. It can be tough to stay locked in when it's clear you're going to win that game and you're going to run away with that game. It can be tough every single play to just treat it like it's the fourth quarter of the Alabama game. And I think that's probably what we've seen a little bit with the defense at times this year. And that's not a shot at them by any means. I hope nobody takes it that way. It's just human nature. I mean, Georgia's offense probably feels the same way after putting up only 28 points against Austin Peay this past weekend, right? Like Georgia's offense hasn't really clicked the way that they want it to. And that doesn't mean they're a bad team. And that doesn't mean they're going to have a bad offense all season. I mean, it's a long way to go this season. We'll see how that offense, they got athletes, right? I mean, they got really good athletes all across that offense. It'd be foolish to write them off because they didn't have a good day against Austin Peay. But, you know, that I think the concerns that Tennessee fans might be feeling about some of the defensive lapses, and it hasn't been much, you know, a couple times against Syracuse and a little bit there against ETSU late in the game that was over. Georgia's probably feeling the same way about their offense.
The primary key in this Georgia game is going to be coming out hot and starting quick. And you've done that through the week to stay on this ETSU game. You did against Syracuse, and then against ETSU, obviously, it is what it is competition-wise, but still, I mean, you had 48 points at the half, and really, so that's encouraging. But as far as the defense goes, yeah, just like Georgia with that Austin Peay game, it's tough to get up for these. To a certain extent, you purposefully don't get up for them, so to speak. You're going to go vanilla, if you're Heupel, you're coaching this game. Not like you're going to throw the kitchen sink at ETSU. And so I don't put a lot of stock in that. You do have to cut out the mistakes, though. I mean, the certain things that happened against ETSU, it's stuff that against ETSU is a kind of a afterthought, but stuff against Georgia that will lose you. And so you got to get those things cleaned up, and you just got to be ready to play. I think the biggest factor out of anything, especially when it comes to the defense, is the health. Report, was it Pete Thamel today? And he said no Jermon McCoy, no Gibson. I think we knew Ricky Gibson. Extended period of time from Josh Heupel means 6 weeks minimum, I think.
Yeah.
I don't. We'll see what happens there, but you know, Heupel said extended period of time. I think it's going to really be an extended period of time. But Jermon McCoy, like I said, surely at this point he's on medical clearance watch of just as if finally a time where he might get to dip a toe in water. And according to Pete Thamel, that's not going to be the case this week. We'll see. Heupel just said, I'll tell you to go look at the injury report on Wednesday that the SEC makes them put out. I know that Heupel absolutely hates that, but he's required to do it. So, yeah, nothing there. And just even thinking about that, the press conference today from Heupel, and even after the game, as usual, nothing really to draw from those press conferences. You know, the useful questions like, hey, is anybody injured? He just goes, you think I'm really going to do that? You can get out of here. You can go take a long walk off a short pier and go check that injury report. So I think ETSU, you got out with your health in tow, and just a nice setup for the Georgia game. But they're coming in the same way. Not like they're coming in off battered, bruised, and coming off a tough game or anything. They've also had snoozers. So this sets up for an interesting matchup here.
Yeah, I know we'll pick this game here in a little bit. This is such an interesting game to me though, because if you've watched us for very long, like I'm not big on preseason rankings, and I think early season rankings are really mostly complete nonsense. They're reputation rankings, they're popularity rankings. They don't make any sense half the time. I mean, we've seen people leaving Tennessee off of their ballots even after they're 2-0. Alabama ranked ahead of them by some people. It's just, you don't know this early in the season how good a team is. I don't know how good Tennessee is. I mean, I'm encouraged by what we've seen so far. They played well against Syracuse. The offense played well against East Tennessee State. You put up 72 points, and I know you put up 71 points against Kent State last year, and that was kind of misleading when it came to the offense. But I felt like that was such a different game and a different situation. 6 of those touchdowns, I think 6, maybe more. And he had 6 touchdowns from running backs in that game, rushing touchdowns. I mean, that was a game that was won on the ground. They didn't have to really throw it. You were able to just dominate Kent State. Kent State was probably the worst team in college football last season. They didn't win a game. Their coach got fired. He was like owed money to people and debt collectors, and there was some crazy stuff going on with him. I think he had I can't remember the entire story, but it was just a bad situation. It was a really bad football team. ETSU, obviously, Tennessee has way more talent than ETSU, but that's not a bad football team. They destroyed Murray State the previous week. Last year under a different coach, they won 7 games. So, yeah, it's a game you're supposed to win, but it's not like it's a bad football team compared, to their competition that they typically play against. So, I think there's a lot to feel good about with this offense, but we really won't know until you go play against the conference opponent. And you got maybe the toughest one to go up against in Georgia. And the same goes for Georgia, like you talked about. They played Marshall and Austin Peay to start the season. They haven't been tested either, right? So we don't know what this version of Georgia is going to be this season. And in the last couple of years, we've seen Georgia's not quite as dominant. I mean, they're still really good. I'm not saying that they're not, but they're not as dominant as they were in that stretch, between 2017 and 22, 23 going into there. That's because of the transfer portal. It's harder to build depth. It's just the way of college football. Everybody is able to get talent more quickly now and build their rosters up and compete with Georgia. So it's going to be really fun, I think, to see what this offense can do against Georgia, how their defense holds up. Are they, is Georgia able to find any rhythm on offense? They haven't been able to yet coming into this game. I think if you're a Georgia fan, that's concerning. Like I said at the top, they got athletes. They could turn it around, on Saturday. They could suddenly click, and it sounds like Kirby says in practice they do. I think every coach kind of says that, but they haven't done it yet, whereas Tennessee has. So I think that's one thing working in Tennessee's favor. But Georgia, Kirby, they know how to play this Tennessee offense. They've done it for a few years now. They've had more success than anyone. It'll be interesting to see how Tennessee counters that. They've likewise seen this Georgia defense 4 years in a row. What have they learned from the past 4 seasons that they can go in there and exploit?
You did see some encouraging stuff, but before we go exclusively to the Georgia game, saw more encouraging stuff from Tennessee's offense, and moving past the defense. There's just not that much that you can take away from that ETSU game. I think you saw more of the fact that Joey Aguilar is willing to just go for it. However you want to frame what he did there, especially that throw, that basically that Hail Mary to Mike Matthews that he launched. A number of people after the game, sort of including myself in the postgame with Crompton, saying, well, and against AC competition, can he actually get that throw off? Is that an interception? Is it this or is that? I've thought about it more, and I almost feel like that doesn't even matter because you're going to have to take the good with the bad with the guy. And that play is awesome in that particular scenario. It doesn't matter if he would do it in the Georgia game because he hasn't yet. But that mentality is what is making this kid work in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't take that away because it would work as a whole if you did, is sort of my general feeling on it. It was a great showing by Mike Matthews after kind of some drops and not looking his absolute best against Syracuse. You saw some good young talent there. Star Thomas still looked awesome. I think your running backs, you got to be thinking, this is setting up great because in my opinion, maybe the biggest key for this offense is the ball. It's Georgia and finding a way to move the ball on the ground. And I think you got a set of dudes that can really, really do that effectively. So it's good. And I just continue to be so impressed by Joey Aguilar. His grandmother was in the crowd. She was crying when he was making great plays. I mean, it was so awesome. And one of my postseason predictions, one of my bold predictions came today. Joey Aguilar popped up on a top 10 Heisman list. It was what's his face at On 3, the other guy that's not
JD.
Josh Pate.
Yeah,
JD Piquel. Yeah, he had Joey on a Heisman list. Predicted that before the season that Joey would end up on Heisman lists. Was happy to see that. But yeah, I mean, going into this game. Oh, and Barrett in the comments here, he says, "How about Gil a 53-yarder?" Also great because Lord knows if you're not able to convert drives into touchdowns, much Georgia, he could come in big time handy there. So yeah, there was good stuff coming away from that ETSU game for sure.
Yeah, I was impressed by some of the young wide receivers too, especially Radarius Jackson. That grab he made on that throw from Jake Mertlinger that was slightly behind him. I mean, that was great body control, jumping there to make that catch, and really elite concentration you have to make that play. I kind of think I would like to see more of him and some of these younger guys on the field. Not that the other guys are doing anything wrong, that I want to see less of them. I think Chris Brazel's played well early this season. That's been a good development. Mike Matthews coming around, like you mentioned, and Braylon Staley there. Really good, talented players, but I think you've got some guys in Travis Smith and Radarius Jackson and Joaquin Dodson that can really help this team and make some plays. And it really, you want your best players on the field, period. There's a viral clip of Nick Saban from at some point that said his first big coaching lesson was when he was a high school football player and he was the quarterback, and he called his own plays and he was nervous in a situation, and he wanted the coach to call the play, and the coach told him, it's like, who's our two best players, these two all-state running backs or wide receivers, whatever they were. I don't care what play you call, get them the ball. And that's what they did. And in big moments, it's not really so much the play, it's getting the ball to your biggest playmakers. And Radarius Jackson, I know it's against East Tennessee State. I don't care if that's a route on air or what. I mean, that was an impressive play and shows you what he can do. And sometimes you're going to need that. Like, Joey Aguilar is not going to be perfect. No quarterback is. There's going to be missed throws. There's going to be high throws. Look, we all love Josh Dobbs. I mean, Josh Dobbs is never going to pay for a drink in Knoxville, right? But when he was at Tennessee, we all complained about him overthrowing guys at times and throwing the ball too high. Like, it happens. It's a tough position to play. You're going to have off-target throws. If your receivers can bail you out, it's kind of like a first baseman bailing out a shortstop, on a ball in the dirt. If you can bail out your quarterback, man, that's so invaluable. And Radarius Jackson, just on that one play, seemed like that type of guy.
Good question from Jay here. Is Amari Jefferson hurt or just not cracking into the rotation? Has anybody even asked about that?
I think he was limited in. I looked at this. Let me look the snaps up real quick from this past week.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing if there was a status there, but that is interesting because he was definitely somebody that you were hoping would play. But I mean, it may be a situation where
he played two snaps against East Tennessee State. Compared to, I think Travis Smith played like 47. Dotson played 20-ish, 21. Jackson played 14 or 15. So that kind of shows you, I guess, I think that tells you where he stands on the roster. Nobody else is nobody from Tennessee is going to tell you anything besides that.
Yes. I think he got hot by some really talented freshmen. It seems like, and maybe that's because he's hindered by injury coming in.
Yeah, and Tommy Winton the third too is another that played more snaps than him. I think he played 14 or 15 snaps.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think even without him getting much into the rotation, for one thing, if your current guys stay healthy, that rotation is 3 guys, usually 5 guys at the most. In a big game like against Georgia, I mean they keep the rotation extremely tight. So he wasn't going to be playing this week anyway, but that is interesting given a guy who walked out of high school and has just kind of been played by injury up to this point. But
yeah, I wonder with him with the injury, and he hasn't really focused solely on football until getting to college. He's a baseball guy. I mean, planned to be a dual sport guy in college. I think he's even talked about maybe doing both at Tennessee. I doubt that happens. It doesn't happen that often anymore, and it would have to be. Yeah, I would be surprised if that happened. But, maybe this is just truly like another redshirt year for him being in a new program, and he's somebody that can make an impact down the road. You don't have a lot of those guys in college football anymore that wait a couple of years. Jefferson might be perfect for that because he's a Tennessee guy, grew up a Tennessee guy, and really wants to be at Tennessee. So he's the type that might be okay waiting his turn and can provide some important depth down the road for Tennessee.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But otherwise, thankfully, as I said, you walk away with your health in tow, and we can kind of maybe this can be a little bit of a transition Georgia game. Somebody you didn't see in the ETSU game was David Sanders at right tackle, and that's an interesting one because now you kind of have the conversation since he hasn't played 2 games. You kind of have this conversation to have. Yeah, he's a 5-star, all everything Superman recruit, but you got a guy who's doing well at that right tackle spot in Jesse Perry, and the line has been cohesive to this point. Do you want to break that up? And is it really great to just go, here you go, play against maybe the best team in America? Go out there, son. It's time. Your very first college ball snap ever. Go out there and play. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to start the line the way that it was and then probably work at certain points. That would be my guess. If he's healthy to go. We thought he was going to go this week against ETSU as a setup for the Georgia game. Here we are. But if he's ready to go, right, they're going to work him in. It doesn't feel like they're going to just throw him into the fire like that.
That's a tough spot to be in if you're Tennessee, I think, because ideally he plays against ETSU and then gets that under his belt and goes and plays against Georgia, and it's one of the most talented freshmen in America, and that's the guy you want on the field. But I'm with you. I think the fact that this offensive line has played together these first 2 weeks with this combination with Jesse Perry at right guard, Wendell Moe moving over with Jesse Perry right tackle, Wendell Moe moving over to right guard, that just seems to work. They haven't allowed a sack yet. I know it's not been top competition, but even Syracuse, is capable, right? That would be tough, I think, to throw Sanders in there, and then Moe moves back to left guard where he hasn't really played a lot in camp. Jesse Perry is talented enough that he can play both positions, but he's kind of settled in there a little bit at right tackle. I don't know. I mean, I think I lean towards you or your take on that. That's a really tough ask to put David Sanders in there, and if he doesn't have a great game, what are you going to say? I mean, what do you? I know there will be people complaining about the NIL money he got, and we expected more than this, blah blah blah, and that's nonsense. I don't want to hear any of that, no matter how he plays. Like, he's a true freshman. There's no amount of money that you can put on a check that's like, okay, go play like a All-American in your first game ever against one of the best coaches in college football with one of the most talented rosters in college football. Like, that's insane to even think that. I mean, and maybe he plays great. I don't know, but that's just a real tough ask. And I think it's tough for the entire offensive line where they built up so much continuity over these past 2 weeks with what they've been running out there. It's a difficult balance. You need Sanders to get experience. He's going to be important for this team the rest of the season. Getting some experience against Georgia would be huge, right? Like, you instantly know how you stack up against the best competition in America, but you got to win the game too. So how do you balance that?
We'll see what they do. That's going to be a very interesting one to watch. Obviously, it's interesting if he plays at all. Yeah, what they do with him if he is available will be a spot to watch.
I mean, you got UAB next week, and that might be a better spot to break him in. I think Davey Boy here in the comments has a good suggestion. Like, maybe you start him in the second quarter to test him, or if the offensive line just looks terrible early on, maybe you switch something up. Outside of that, I think you just got to go with what's been working so far, at least this week.
One thing that I feel like is a great sign for Tennessee with this Georgia game, or what to do with David Sanders. Did you see today the pictures of the Pope with a Tennessee jersey? He didn't have it on. It was just him, and I don't even know who that is.
It's a Tennessee House of Representative, the Speaker of the Tennessee House, I believe, that was at the Vatican last week and presented him with a jersey. I mean, divine intervention. Maybe it'll.
He's Pope Leo the 14th, and they made it Pope Leo at number 14.
That's beautiful.
That's great. That's so good.
I mean, he's a Villanova guy. Villanova football is not, it's FCS team, big hoops guy. Maybe he doesn't have a college football team. I assume he'd be a Notre Dame fan, but maybe he'll root for the Vols.
Did Tennessee get the papal blessing?
Yeah, maybe he'll have his jersey on Saturday.
One can only hope. Should I say a lot of times in that spot? I would say, Lord willing. Yes. All right, let's actually get to the Georgia game. 3:30, Elon Stadium. Game day is gonna be in town. I think the primary reason Tennessee and Georgia got game day is because Florida lost.
Well, it was probably that, and also they were thinking about West Virginia, Pittsburgh, and West Virginia lost.
Oh yeah, West Virginia lost to Ohio.
Yeah, that's a great game too. West Virginia, Pittsburgh's that's a truly great rivalry.
Yeah, it's nice when West Virginia has a good football team and playing Tennessee like they did a few years ago and beat their head in.
I think that had a lot to do with Tennessee having a bad football team too. 2018.
But yeah, they have such a fun culture thing going on in West Virginia. Yeah, it's a shame that they stink, but they do. So Tennessee gets College Game Day, and Pat McAfee's going to be here on Thursday. It's going to be a whole thing. Traffic's going to be horrific from like Wednesday to Saturday. Thanks God, I love it. My commute to work it's great. No, I actually do love it. It's always a lot of fun when you get a big game coming into town. But huge game. This is in the preseason leading up to all of this. This is the game that we were talking about, where if Joey Aguilar is who we were hoping, who we were kind of dreaming. Let's say dreaming. That's really the better word, frankly. Who we were dreaming Joey Aguilar would be. This is the game that could make him the legend. Just a seminal figure in the history of Tennessee football. Because I was kind of having this conversation in a group text with some friends earlier. Like, an upset here wouldn't be the same as 22 Bama. I think 22 Bama's bigger because it was 15 years and it was Saban. And, you're exercising so many demons. The Georgia series has been a little more back and forth. It's only been 8 years, which is 8 years too long, that's for sure. But it feels like it has that same gravity, though. There's not the same hype because going into Alabama, you had just gone to Baton Rouge and beat the crap out of LSU, and people were sort of like, "Whoa, this Tennessee team is good." It's still, I think the gravitas around this one it's right up there. It feels like.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's some similarities too in the way that this game lays out. Like in 22, that was a bad spot for Tennessee. We didn't realize it at the time, but they were just went to number 1 in the playoff rankings. They were undefeated. The hype, I mean, they just come off that big win against Kentucky where they just throttled Will Levis and the Wildcats, and the hype was all over Tennessee. So that really played into Kirby Smart's hands. Like, right, like that's what he loves is that kind of stuff to motivate his team, and it worked. I mean, and then Eric Ainge saying all the stuff about the fans at Sanford Stadium, and it was just everything went in Georgia's favor that week. And 23, you were never going to beat Georgia with that team in 23. And then last year, just a couple things went wrong, and that game got away from you a little bit. You were going toe-to-toe with them early. But this game feels like 22 Bama in the sense that you mentioned that LSU game. I remember that Bama game going into that week. Like, yeah, we want to win. We want to see Tennessee win, but we didn't know how good Bama was at that point because we didn't really know much about LSU, and it was a noon game in Baton Rouge. It wasn't a night game. So it wasn't it's big to win down there, but it wasn't the same as winning at night. So we weren't really sure how good Tennessee was. And it felt like, I think we said it, like Tennessee's playing with house money in this game. This game is bigger for Alabama than it is Tennessee. And it feels like that right now with this Georgia game, where this is bigger for Georgia than it is Tennessee. If Tennessee loses this game, nobody's, going to criticize Tennessee and Josh Heupel, especially given the quarterback situation and just where Georgia's been as a program. There's never any shame in losing to Georgia at this point. Georgia hasn't, they haven't played for a championship in 2 years. They just haven't been as dominant these last couple of years, and they haven't looked great to open this season. If they drop this game, it's not like Kirby's on the hot seat or anything crazy like that, but you're going to have some restlessness in Athens. There's going to be some people, it's like, well, no, we're going the wrong direction. We're not supposed to lose to Tennessee. This isn't what we do. I think that's good for the Vols. I think this sets up nicely for them as far as everybody kind of being on Georgia and the pressure being on Georgia, and Tennessee can kind of still play their game and not worry about like, oh, what this game means if we win or lose it, whatever. We got a lot of season left to play, and we've won double-digit games with losses to Georgia, in our pocket, and it hasn't kept us from getting to where we want to go, especially in last season.
Yeah, it's exciting opportunity, but it's still, I don't know. I don't want to put a damper on it at all. It would be incredible if you beat Georgia. Just period. That it will be season defining, even if things go a little off the rails. But you still got a ton of season out in front of you, and you haven't accomplished anything real yet. This would be just the first in a line of things that would be huge accomplishments. It's exciting nonetheless. So, in terms of the actual game, this one to me is so compelling because of Gunnar Stockton. Well, and Joey Aguilar, of course. But as far as Georgia goes, Stockton, surrounded by a team who is obviously uber talented, 5 stars on 5 stars on 5 stars, but a team that lost a bunch of guys from a year ago, especially on defense. And he has never played a true road game in the SEC. Not once. This will be his first one ever. Now he's played in a playoff game that he lost. But, he's outside of that playoff game, would have been a 50-50 crowd. And I guess the SEC championship game, half the SEC championship game. This guy is going to be under fire in a true road environment for the first time ever, listening to Georgia pundits kind of talk about they've wanted to see him run more to this point, and they haven't. And I think that's just Kirby sandbagging. I think the kid probably can run, and they're just trying to protect health. Maybe Joey Aguilar didn't run against ETSU because he didn't have to at all. There's no reason to put yourself in harm's way there. But there is the factor also that Georgia loaded up on wide receiver talent out of the portal over the offseason. Can Stockton be the guy that delivers there? Because to me, I already said it once earlier in the show. This game comes down to, can Tennessee start fast? You have to start fast. You start fast. You have to bury them and have, I mean, it's a moment so deeply burned into my mind because it was so great and it was so shocking from the Bama game in 22. You get up, I don't know, was it 21-7?
Yeah, you're up like 2 scores.
Yeah. And Bama's backed up against their goal line. And I just remember a TV shot that they had just zoomed right in Bryce Young's face. And you could just tell he was like, oh, F. Like, we are in a tight spot right now. And the place was shaking. It would rattle your bones. And that's what has to happen here because you got to get out in front. I don't think against Georgia defense, this can't be a comfort behind effort. It just can't be. Maybe. Never say never to anything. I didn't think you're going to be Alabama in 22. And here we are. But, and Lord knows, I didn't think Nico was going to make a playoff. But, yeah. And so, never say never. But that just feels so imperative to me. You start off hot, and this kid has never played a road game, and just rattle him to his core. And that's the perfect starting point. And as I've already said, the first 2 games, maybe this has more penchant for that. I don't know how you feel about it.
I do, and I don't follow Georgia day to day like I do Tennessee, but the sense I get from Gunnar Stockton as a quarterback is that he's obviously a talented player and plays well in practice, and he's just kind of maybe almost like a Nico deal where in games he's just a little slow, maybe to see it, plays a little tight, trying to play perfect type deal. I mean, that's a lot of pressure being the guy, Georgia. You've waited your turn. And he's capable of playing well and snapping out of that at any point. So I'm not predicting what he is or isn't going to be against Tennessee, but I think that's been part of his issue so far, especially early this season. Yeah, if Tennessee's crowd gets loud, if you get a little momentum going, put a little pressure on them to have to score, maybe it rattles him a bit. I mean, if your quarterback's not going, if he's not making plays, then that puts a lot of pressure on the rest of the team to come up. You got the running game's got to work. It puts a lot of stress on the defense. Georgia's defense can handle that, I'm sure, but that just makes it more difficult for them to win that game if Stockton doesn't play well. We'll see. I'm not going to go into this game thinking, oh, God, this guy's not going to play well at all. Deer in headlights. We've seen too many quarterbacks just come out and play really well against Tennessee for whatever reason. It's the opposite of divine intervention. It's like they get this look in their eye, and all of a sudden they're Superman, no matter who they are. It's really one of the more incredible things about watching Tennessee football over the last probably at least 20 years, if not longer. So we'll see how he performs in that environment, but I think it's got the potential to really shake him early. If you can score and get to him a few times, Josh Josephs gets to him in the backfield, comes off the edge and rattles him a time or two. I'll be interested to see how he recovers from that because he hasn't really, like you said, he hasn't really been in that situation on the road.
Well, and probably the second biggest thing outside of the fast start for the offense and definitely the defense too is winning in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
And especially winning in the trenches for this defensive line because you're potentially down Jackson Moy. We'll see what the report is on Wednesday. And maybe also it's not Bryson Eason. David Hobbs.
David Hobbs, yeah. He's
and
fine, yeah.
And then your best 2 cornerbacks are out. But one of the biggest keys to rattling Gunnar Stockton in this game is going to be that defensive line getting home. And can they win in the trenches? Because that's just something that, yeah, you've had these great years and had a couple of huge games against Georgia, but what they do, it beating Georgia has just never truly felt realistic in the last few years, because at the end of the day, you just watch that game and you just man, they're whipping us in the trenches. It just is. They are men and we are boys there. And that's tough. It's just tough. And here, I think you have a real shot. The interior defensive line does concern me because you're playing depth players, and Omar Norman Lott ain't walking through that door. But man, it's such an opportunity that if you can land a couple, as you said, if Joshua Josephs can just land a couple, get this kid rattled, really start the momentum run downhill, I think you could really grab onto something and get Georgia in a very tight spot here. But they just got such good talent. What's the wide receiver Branch, Zachariah Branch out of USC that Tennessee should have probably taken a harder run at, but that's neither here nor there. He's gonna have dudes to get the ball to, and you got to make sure he just can't. Like that was one of those keys. It was one of those keys in the 22 Bama game. Don't mean to keep bringing it up. And ultimately, Bryce Young went for like 600 yards of offense.
He had a great game. He's just lucky Tennessee had the ball last.
And it was honest. That was one of the things that made that game great, was that everybody played incredible football. But here, I just beat these guys. Just beat them. I don't care if it's a close game. Win by 1,000 points, please. That's what I want to see happen. The chance of that is slim to none. But the chance of you giving yourself a real chance in this game is very real if you can win in the trenches.
Yeah, the trenches, both sides. I mean, on the flip side, on the offensive side, you've got to be able to run the ball. That's been the key to Georgia beating Tennessee in these last few years. Is unlike some other teams, they've been able to stop Tennessee's run without totally loading the box because their defensive line is just outplayed Tennessee's offensive line. And it's a good sign that Tennessee's offensive line is playing well early this season. That's still going to be a tough matchup for them, even though they are playing well. I mean, you've got some nice talent. You got a 5-star left tackle. You've got a guard in Moe with a lot of experience that evaluators really like, and Sam Pendleton at center who you really like, and we'll see how Jesse Perry holds up if he starts, or if it's David Sanders, or what the situation is there. But whoever it is, those guys they've got to win some battles in the trenches so you can run the ball and open things up for the passing game. Because if Georgia doesn't have to load the box, it's going to be hard to beat them deep. They're not going to give you that deep stuff, and they're going to be able to clog up the middle just enough to keep the underneath stuff to make it difficult. So you've got to be able to run the ball. If you can run the ball against this defensive line, I think you've got some receivers now that can win one-on-one matchups. You're not going to win all of them. I mean, Georgia's got really good athletes. They're gonna win their fair share of reps. It's going to be tough. But if you can run the ball, man, it gives you so much more of a chance to win some of those matchups.
If you win in the running game in this one, you're going to win this game.
Yeah,
that's
the key. That's the big key.
Yeah, because that will free up your bombs down the field. It'll free up the middle of the field, and just everything else that you can do.
Really good. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, good point from Richard here. QB run will also be key.
That was
hopefully using his feet.
Yeah, that was huge for Hendon Hooker against Alabama and against Florida in 22. Was you had some situations there where Hooker really bailed you out and kept drives alive because he was able to run and get those yards. So and that'll go both ways. I mean, I think Stockton will probably run more too, like you kind of mentioned earlier. But that's part of it. But also with the running game, I think Ethan Davis and Miles Kitselman are going to be huge in this. You're seeing more 2 tight end looks from Tennessee starting last season and carrying over into this season. And Ethan Davis hasn't shown up in the box scores a lot with receptions, but he's doing some dirty work there in the trenches. He's blocking like a madman. I mean, there was Jared Garantano's film breakdown of that Syracuse game where he showed at one point Ethan Davis blocked 3 Syracuse defenders, and he just seemed to be in the right spot at the right time. That could be huge too. I mean, I think you're going to really have to lean into that to help this offensive line. Even if they are playing well, Georgia's going to get theirs sometimes. Like, they just are. They're too good not to. You're not going to shut them down. So Davis and Kitselman, I think, will definitely be huge in the blocking game, in the run game.
Oh, it's going to be massive. And I hope that they run out of 12 personnel, really utilize the tight ends. The tight ends, they got to have a big game. They got to have a big game in this one. In short, Tennessee has to have an excellent game, and
everybody needs to play well.
Yeah, every single person on this football field needs to have a good game, and Tennessee will have a chance to win. Period. But really, I run the ball, play 12 personnel, and utilize these tight ends. Get these wide receivers at least a couple of bombs. Like, I take the top off, and this thing can happen. This thing can happen. And I mean, Jared says it too. Don't turn the ball over.
Especially fumbles, like running game. You can't
clean it up.
If you throw a deep shot, it's an interception. I mean, that's not ideal, right? But if it kind of serves as a punt down the field, it's not the end of the world. You know, hopefully your defense will be able to stand up and keep Georgia from driving down the field. But if you turn the ball over, you know, on your own 25 because you're running the ball, that can lose you a game right there.
Yep. This is special teams is going to be huge. You got to keep Branch in check, returning the ball. Yeah. Yes. You got to just do the little things right. It has. We've said it so much now. It has to go like that 22 Bama game where you just every punch came and you had an answer at every turn. That's what it has to be. Even if you get out to the big lead, you have a lead at halftime, you do whatever to start fast. Hanging on for dear life is not going to be easy. And
scoreboard means nothing. Scoreboard means nothing until that clock says 0.
Exactly. You're going to have to keep throwing haymakers. It just is what it is. And thankfully, one of the biggest factors is that you're playing in Neyland Stadium, Checker Neyland, huge opportunity there. And I think
0 expectations on your quarterback.
That's so true.
He can go play free. Imagine if Nico was starting this game. Not to bring Nico up, but just illustrating the situation at hand. If Nico was playing this game, there'd be a lot of pressure. It's like, all right, this is your moment. You've got to show up here. You're the $8 million man. This is in Knoxville. Like, if you don't win this game, what was all the 5-star hype about? There's none of that with Joey Aguilar. Not a bit.
No. Yeah. Outside of one guy putting him on a Heisman list this week, I don't see a ton of hype around Aguilar. I think folks were kind of saying, oh, it's funny that he played well in week 1 and Nico stinks. And okay. But I don't think that there's been this real consideration of like, this dude truly fits this system in a big way. And he fits better than Nico Iamaleava did. And that's a real advantage for Tennessee. That's, you know, the guys really paying attention have been saying that, but I don't think on a nationwide that has gotten noticed necessarily. And it's intimidating because Georgia's going to bring their best punch. But man, I think it's huge that even if you get beaten this one, it's you know, it's Georgia. It is what it is. Like, they're national powerhouse, elite, you know, all the talent in the world. If you lose, it's not crazy. But that's so freeing in this spot. It puts
as a fan. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
always so nervous going into like Florida this week or Georgia when it's later in the season. I talked about this at the top when we were having some technical difficulties. If you missed it or if Charlie missed it. I just really do think flipping those games. I didn't know how I felt about that till we were actually in this week. Flipping those games just seems, I don't know. it does seem like a weight kind of lifted off your shoulders as a fan, because Florida game is like, you've got to beat Florida. It doesn't matter when that game is in the season. You've got to go beat Florida. And it's not that that's not there with Georgia. It's just that putting this game early in the season, it's like, well, we got that out of the way, win or lose. And then later in the year, you get to play Florida, where a lot of years we felt like Tennessee, if they would have played Florida later, would have had better success. And we'll see what happens with them. I don't know what to expect with them. I don't know if they'll rebound from that USF loss or if things will just tank. I don't know. There's some ex-Florida players that have said some things about Napier that are a little concerning about the way he's treated some players in practice and stuff. As Jacob Copeland was tweeting some stuff, who was a Vols recruiting target back in the day during the Pruitt era, I think, at one point. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, flipping these games does take a lot of pressure off as a fan, where I feel no anxiety going into this game. Maybe Saturday, once it gets here, will be a little different because you want to win. I mean, of course you want to win. I'm not saying that anybody should be, oh, well, it's just a loss. Like, we'll be throwing, if Tennessee loses this game, we'll all be throwing stuff and mad, and we'll get over it. But it'll be a tough one to swallow. But I don't know. The normal anxiety isn't there.
Yeah, it'll suck to lose. It sucks to lose
period.
To a freaking fan base where the fans bark at you. But outside of that, you're not supposed to win this game. It's still the best chance that you probably had during, outside of 2016 when you beat Kirby. But outside of that, it's the best chance that you've had against Kirby in his entire tenure at Georgia. And they're still a 4-point favorite. It debuted at 7 points and went immediately down to 3.5, which is interesting. Does Vegas know? But still, you are not expected to win this. You had such a goofy offseason. Just go out there and play free and just go win this football game. Because, man, it is so beyond time to beat these clowns. I can't stand Georgia. Their entire fan base, everything that they stand for, all of their values in life, they are an affront to me and everything that I love. And I just can't stand it anymore.
The whole state.
Oh my gosh. The only thing, the purpose that Georgia serves is to be an interstate that takes me to Florida beaches. That's all.
Augusta is the only thing there.
Augusta, Savannah's
Savannah's a great town. Savannah's a great town. And
Savannah's got some charm. But yeah, on the whole, Athens, what a dump. And so it is time to beat Georgia. I'll throw it to you, Zach. Is Tennessee going to do it? What's your score prediction for this one?
Man, I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring. I think Tennessee will be able to score on Georgia. And I think Georgia will take some shots and they'll put up some points too. But I don't think it's going to be like that Alabama 22 game at all. I just can't pick Tennessee until they really do it, right? Like, you've got to just kind of, like I said at the beginning, I don't know anything about either one of these teams as far as how good they really are against SEC opponents, because we just haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen them play against top tier competition. So objectively, I think you have to go off of what we've seen in the past, and that's been coming up short against Georgia. I mean, it's the one team that Heupel's played multiple times that he hasn't been able to beat so far. It's the only one, I think, that he's played multiple times that he hasn't beat. So I think just because of that, I'll go Georgia like 24-20. I think it's super close. I mean, if Tennessee wins, it would not shock me at all. Like, I think it's 51% Georgia wins, 49% Tennessee wins.
I think according to ESPN FPI, Tennessee's a favorite. Something like 52-48 or something.
I also feel like me picking Georgia is good karma because I'm wrong often on some of these predictions. So,
if I remember correctly, we both picked Alabama in 22.
Yes. No, I did. I probably picked Florida too that season. Might have picked LSU too. I don't know.
This one is just tough. It just seems too good to be true if it actually happened, right? Where you had this complete fiasco in the offseason and you still find a team that could beat Georgia.
It's movie stuff if it does.
Truly, it is. I mean, You think Joey Aguilar's grandmother is crying now? Just wait till the kid goes out and beats Georgia. I mean, like I said about Dobbs, this man would never buy a drink in Knox County, Tennessee for as long as he lives. Man, I will say that Tennessee does come out fast, gets the lead. I don't know if it'd be 10 points, but it's and you had a lead for a minute last year, if I'm thinking for like a quick minute. Dylan
they played like well. Tennessee played well. Somebody mentioned the officiating, which I know that's an easy thing to say, and every program says that when they lose, but the officiating wasn't great in that game, kind of like the 23 Alabama game. And just on that, that's one of those things. It's like you've got to have some calls go your way, good or bad, whatever the situation. Some of these teams like Georgia and Alabama, whether it's reputation, the momentum of the game, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything on purpose, but they tend to get the benefit of the doubt, and some of those calls go their way. That Alabama game, you had a pass interference call that went your way and was huge in that game. And whether it was pass interference or not, I mean, it could have gone either way, right? But they chose to throw the flag. It went your way. You won that game. Sometimes you just need that luck on your side. And they did it last season. And it just that's where that game kind of got out of hand.
I think that there were some comments back here about officiating. You got to have officiating roll your way. Sometimes like the pass interference against Alabama late in that game, that would have been a big interception and a return.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does come out hot, maybe gets a 10-point lead, maybe has like a 3-point lead at the half, and then it's just anxiety town for the entire second half.
Yeah, that's where the anxiety sets in.
I'm going to say you get up 27-21 with like 5 minutes left. Then Georgia scores a touchdown with like 3 minutes left. And then Joey Aguilar, hero drive, 30-28. That's put it down, Zach.
Oh,
that's the score. Tennessee wins, beats the Georgia Bulldogs because it is time. It is time to beat these guys. Frickin' take your barking somewhere else because you're going down inside Neyland Stadium on Saturday. Oh, that's what I'll say. 30-28. Jason says 24-17. Mr. Jones says 35-24. Everybody picking Tennessee, of course. Although Davey Boy, not quite as optimistic.
Man,
Georgia 34, Tennessee 24.
he's got my same emotions I have. It's like you just can't do it until they do it.
Yeah. Tavante 42-35, Tennessee. Thanks for the comments. And we'll see.
Me or you, one's gonna be right here. One of us is gonna.
It's true.
I hope it's you.
I just, if that actually happened that way, now that would really, my prediction is a literal storybook. And so, but
the whole thing has been so far. So,
I mean, I kind of thought that in the 22 Bama game too. So, like you exercised every demon you possibly could in that game, and this would kind of the same thing. So, Chad says Tennessee 28, Georgia 17. Hey, that's kind of like Crompton. Crompton said 11-point win for Tennessee. It was like 35-24 or something.
You know, the past two seasons, I know we're about done here, but just the past two seasons, 23 and 24, you had pretty good years for Tennessee football. You won 9 games in 23. You went to the playoff last season, won 10 games. You beat Alabama and Florida last season. And you didn't have good quarterback play at all, either one of those years. Joe Milton didn't play good in 23. He just didn't. And Nico was more talented, I think, overall. Not physically, maybe. Milton can throw the ball further. He can jump higher. But I think Nico's the more talented overall quarterback. So he had a few more moments. Like he had some great throws. I remember one to Dante Thornton where he kind of threw it across his body, and then the touchdown pass to Brazzle. Like he flashed these moments, but on the whole, he didn't play well. He didn't know when to escape the pocket. He didn't know how to step up and stay calm. We all know. Like we watched him play. It's been since 22 since you've really seen what this offense is supposed to be. I think these last 2 years, you've just it's been so limited in what Heupel is calling because the quarterback just doesn't execute it. And you saw receivers when they were open down the field and the shots just weren't hit most of the time. Those shots have been hit a few times this season. Like, it feels closer to that Hendon Hooker offense that we saw in 22. Where you got better athletes, you got better talent, the defense is better. You know, it makes sense that Tennessee should be able to, with a better overall, more overall talented team in 25 against a less talented Georgia team at home, that you should be able to beat this team. You know, we'll see. I'm like Davey Boy, I'll believe it when I see it, but it does set up in a way that it's not crazy to think that Tennessee could win this game by like 10 points.
No. And that's what is so exciting about it. And man, it would be so special if that happens. Oh, speaking it into existence. It's going to happen. Game No Bueno says Vols 50, Puppy Dog 0. Let it be so. We have the papal blessing, as we talked about earlier.
That helps.
the Pope has intervened on our behalf. So, yeah, it is time for Tennessee to beat Georgia. That's a show. Charlie Burris, Zach Reagan, thank you to everybody who tuned in, commented, hung out with us. It's always a great time. Thanks for your predictions, everybody. Hopefully they all come true except for Zach's and the other one where you chose against Tennessee. But that's it. I'll be back with Jonathan Crompton halftime post game right here on this very YouTube channel. Tune in there. We'll be giving our thoughts, and it's going to be a good time. Even if we lose, we'll talk through it. We'll mourn, or we'll celebrate like it's 2022. All right. Thanks again for watching, and we will see y'all next week.
See you guys later.